It's not a pleasant experience when bailiffs turn up at your door. I'm speaking from experience that you need to be armed with everything you need to know about their warrant and ID documents. It's hard to think rationally with bailiffs on your doorstep, so if you've had a letter to expect their arrival in the next 7 days, let me prepare you. The first thing that you need to ask for is their ID. Luckily, there are websites that you can use to check their identity, like the Bailiffs Register or Directory of High Court Enforcement Officers. I'll leave a few links in the description for you so you can cross-reference them and check that they're legitimate. Keep the door closed and ask them to pass the documents through the letterbox while you check them online. Once the enforcement agents have established who they are, the next thing you need to check is their warrant alongside evidence of your debt. The warrant should be signed and dated. They can show you this either on a hard copy or a device. Check this very carefully because if the name or address has any mistakes, the warrant might not be valid. Remember, a warrant doesn't need a wet ink signature, so if it doesn't have one, that doesn't invalidate it. The other document that you could be shown is a High Court writ. If you're shown an enforcement agent certificate, this does require a wet ink signature, and it may be worth writing yourself a list to leave by the door so that you're ready to ask everything that you need and check that it's all correct. The signature on the identity certificate with the warrant enables the enforcement agents to start taking control of goods. Annoyingly, the warrant doesn't expire for a year and it gives them plenty of time to show up. Bailiffs don't just seize anything that they set their eyes on. It has to be something that belongs to the person who owes them money. They can't take practical items that you need, so they can't take things like a fridge or a cooker or bed. If you use your laptop for work, then that can't be taken either. They can't take your car if you pay for it on finance. The simplest way to keep the bailiffs at bay is by agreeing to start paying the debt back. There are lots of options available to you if you're struggling financially. These solutions aren't all suitable for everyone, but there may be one or two that could work for you. So I'll run through them quickly. First up, debt management plans. They're an informal agreement that you make with the creditors to pay back your debts at a lower and more affordable rate. Normally that means paying less each month but over a longer time frame. The catch is that you can't include all of your debts in a debt management plan. So things like credit card debt, personal loans and an overdraft, they can all go in, but court fines and mortgage arrears sadly can't be part of it. Next is debt relief orders. They freeze your debt payments for a full year. And then, if your situation hasn't changed after 12 months, then the debt's written off. So you make no payments towards the debt in 12 months and interest isn't added. Pretty good, right? Sadly, debt relief orders have strict eligibility criteria. So, for example, you can't own anything of significant value like a house, and you can't have more than £2,000 in savings. Another option is offering a final settlement. If you happen to have access to a large lump sum, then you can offer that to the bailiffs or the creditors that they work for. It might not be for the full amount you owe, but sometimes they'll be willing to write off the remaining debt because you'll be saving them the time for chasing you down for payments each month. Unfortunately, getting your final settlement offer agreed might not be that simple, and the bailiffs or your creditor could simply refuse. Individual voluntary arrangements are another way to deal with bailiffs. It's a formal agreement between you and your creditors to reduce your payments to one simple payment each month. It lasts for 5 years, and then at the end, any remaining debt's written off. Again, like with all these options, there are catches. So IVAs are legally binding. You'll need to keep up with the terms that you agree to. Otherwise, you could be back to square one. Bankruptcy is probably the most famous option. You may already know, but with bankruptcy, all of your assets are reviewed and some may be sold off to pay back your debt. After a year, any remaining debt will be written off. And like with an IVA, during your year of bankruptcy, you shouldn't hear from the bailiffs. Of course, bankruptcies have some obvious downsides, mainly that some of your belongings may be sold to pay for your debt, and your credit score will become very low. Paying back your debts, whether in full or using a method that I mentioned earlier, will ensure you keep them at bay. Once you've got something in place to start paying the bailiffs, get them to freeze your case. Unfortunately, you can't just ignore them. They're likely to be persistent, and that could make matters a lot worse. So one simple step that you could take today is to find out if any of those debt solutions that I mentioned could work for you. In the description of this video, I've linked to a form on my new website, and it's got a few multiple choice questions like how much debt do you owe and how many people do you owe? Then at the end of the form, it'll connect you to a company that I've partnered with to provide you with all the information that you need about debt solutions that are available. So click the link below, go and check it out, and let me know how you get on.